Hey everyone, and welcome to the Global WarWatch Network. Today we're tackling something huge. I mean, how do you even begin to build a defense strategy that has to guard against a missile that can travel 8,000 kilometers and a cyber threat that you can't even see? It's a massive, massive challenge. Before we jump in, if you enjoy explainers like this one, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out a ton.
All right, let's get right into it. The whole idea of national security is, it's totally changing. It's not just about soldiers on the ground or tanks rolling across a field anymore. We're going to explore what it really means to defend a nation from threats you can see, and, maybe more importantly, the ones you can't. This is the whole idea behind India's 360-degree defense strategy. And really, this is the key question we're trying to wrap our heads around today. The modern battlefield? It's not one single place. The front lines are literally everywhere now. On land, at sea, in the air, and yep, even inside the digital networks that basically run our entire world.
Okay, so to understand where defense is heading, you gotta start with the basics, right? The foundation. So for Act 1, we're looking at conventional power. Think steel, strategy, the stuff that's been the traditional backbone of any military for, well, forever. Just look at this table. It shows a really fascinating range of what we're talking about. You've got something like the Prahar, which is a tactical missile. You use that for immediate support right there on the battlefield. But then, on the other end of the spectrum, you have the Agni-V. That's an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM, that can hit targets thousands upon thousands of kilometers away. See, it's not about having just one big, scary weapon. It's about having the right tool for the job, a flexible arsenal for any kind of scenario you can imagine. Let's just let that sink in for a second. 8,000 kilometers. That's the potential range of the Agni-V. I mean, think about that. A single capability like this creates an incredibly powerful strategic deterrent. It lets a nation like India project its influence and protect its interests far, far beyond its own backyard. But, modern strength isn't just about the cool hardware. It's also about who your friends are. It's about partnerships. What you're seeing here are just a few of India's joint military exercises. Each one of these, like Ostrahend with Australia, for example, does more than just teach soldiers how to work together. It builds diplomatic bridges, strengthening those ties, and creating a much wider, more robust network of security.
So, okay, we've established this powerful conventional foundation. But what happens when the threat isn't a giant missile that you can track on a radar screen? What if it's something small, something cheap, something that can attack in huge numbers like a swarm? That very question, well, it leads us right into the next stage in the evolution of warfare.
And that brings us to Act 2, the aerial evolution. Yep, we're talking about drones. The rise of these unmanned systems has brought a whole new set of challenges and strategies to the modern battlefield.
So first things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page. The Kamikaze drone, or suicide drone, this thing is an absolute game changer. Think about a traditional drone. It's basically a reusable plane that carries a missile, drops it, and flies home. But with these Kamikaze drones, the drone is the weapon. That is a massive, fundamental shift in military tactics.
This comparison here really lays it all out. On one side, you've got your high-cost, reusable drones like the Predator. It's a sophisticated, expensive asset, an airplane without a pilot. But on the other side, you've got these lower-cost, single-use, expendable Kamikaze drones. There are two totally different kinds of threats, and you absolutely need different strategies to deal with each one.
So, naturally, as the threat changes, the defense has to change with it. And the answer isn't as simple as trying to shoot down every single drone one by one. No way. The modern countermeasure is something more like a comprehensive defensive dome, an automated shield designed to protect a huge area from these new kinds of aerial threats.
And this is where India's homegrown solution, Indrajaal, comes in. Now look at the steps here. It's smarter than just blowing things up. First, it detects a threat. Then it analyzes the entire airspace to get a perfect real-time picture of what's going on. And only then does it automatically act to protect an area, get this, up to 2,000 square kilometers. That's the kind of scale you need for modern anti-drone defense. And this brings up a really cool, sophisticated idea, this soft kill. Instead of a big explosion, what we'd call a hard kill, systems like the DRDO's D4S can take out a drone just by jamming its communication or navigation signals. It basically confuses the drone and makes it useless. This is modern electronic warfare in a nutshell, disabling a threat without ever firing a shot.
Okay, so we've covered the solid, conventional foundation on the ground, and we've talked about the big evolution happening up in the skies. But that just begs the question, right? What about the front lines you can't see, the ones that are totally invisible?
And that brings us to Act 3, the invisible front line. I want to be clear, this isn't science fiction anymore. This is the reality of modern conflict. We're talking about cybersecurity, where the digital battlefield has become every bit as critical, sometimes even more so, than any physical one. And these threats aren't just abstract ideas on a whiteboard. These were real events with very real consequences. Remember the Mirai botnet? That showed the world how even everyday things like smart cameras and routers could be hijacked and weaponized. And then the WannaCry ransomware attack, that really brought the threat home, hitting major cities in India and proving to everyone that our critical infrastructure is a huge, vulnerable target. So what do? How does a whole country respond to something like that? Well, India's national cybersecurity policy lays out a multi-layered strategy. And it's so much more than just putting up some firewalls. We're talking about creating a 24/7 protection center just for vital infrastructure, forcing organizations to have dedicated security leaders, and setting up one lead agency to handle emergencies. It's basically a complete blueprint for national defense in the digital age. And this brings us to our final act, where we see how all these different pieces, the conventional, the aerial, the digital, all come together. This is the 360-degree defense. Because you see, modern security isn't just about missiles or drones anymore. It's about protecting everything, from the physical borders of a country all the way down to the personal data on your phone. And this slide right here really drives that point home. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act, that's not just some boring IT policy. You have to think of it as a security doctrine. It actually frames the protection of every single citizen's data as a core part of defending the entire nation. It's a huge shift in thinking. This 360-degree view also means you have to look inward, not just outward. National security isn't just about stopping threats from other countries. It's also about maintaining stability at home. The Assam Rifles are a fascinating example of this. They operate under a unique dual control system, answering to both the home and defense ministries. It really highlights just how complex that link between internal and external security is. So when you put it all together, it leaves us with a really critical question for the future. As the threats keep getting smaller, faster, and sometimes completely invisible, what is national defense even going to look like in the coming years? One thing's for sure, the battlefield is expanding, and our strategies have to expand with it, or we risk getting left behind. And that's our look at this expanding, evolving battlefield. Thank you so much for joining us to explore what is, without a doubt, an incredibly important topic. Hey, if you got something out of this explainer, it would be a huge help if you'd like, share, and of course, subscribe to the Global WarWatch Network. It's the best way to help us grow this community. But now we really want to hear from you. What do you think is the single biggest threat in the future of defense? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to join us on our social media channels. All the links for that are right there in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next explainer.